All right, let's jump right into a big question, one that really sits at the crossroads of art and pure technology. Can an AI, a machine, actually translate a novel? I'm not just talking about swapping words. I mean, can it capture the heart and soul of a story?
For the longest time, the answer to that was a hard no. The conventional wisdom was that, sure, machine translation is fine for, say, a user manual or a website, but literature? That was just different. That was a job for humans, period.
And it kind of makes sense, right? Because translating a great book isn't just about getting the meaning correct. It's about preserving the author's voice, their style, the rhythm of the sentences, what this study calls the reading experience. It's all about that feeling you get when you're lost in a good book.
Okay, but what if all that is just out of date now? Technology has been moving at an absolutely breakneck speed. So let's dive into this really cool study that decided to put modern AI through the ultimate literary boot camp.
So what we're looking at here isn't just any old translator. At the very core of this whole experiment is a new kind of AI, one built specifically for the world of novels.
To really get what's going on, you've got to look at how fast this tech has evolved. Back in the early 2000s, we had these systems that basically just matched chunks of text. Then, around 2015, neural networks came along, which were way better at understanding sentences. But then, boom, around 2017, we got the transformer architecture, and yeah, that's the same kind of tech that powers the AI tools we see everywhere today.
Now this is the really clever part of the experiment. They didn't just grab a generic tool like Google Translate, which learns from, well, the entire internet. No, they built a specialist. They fed their AI a diet of nothing but literature, over 100 novels. So it's not a generalist, it's a literary expert.
All right, so they've built this literary specialist AI. The big question is, how does it actually stack up when you throw a real novel at it?
First up, they ran an automatic test. There's this metric called BLUE that basically scores the machine's work against a professional human translation. And honestly, the results weren't even close. The old systems were okay, but the new Transformer AI just blew them out of the water. A huge jump in quality.
But here's the thing. A computer score is one thing. It's just numbers. It can count how many words match up. But can it tell you if the translation has style, if it has flow? Does it feel right? For that, well, you need to bring in the real experts.
And this, for me, is where it gets really interesting. The researchers handed the AI's translations over to professional human translators and asked them to judge its work against stuff done by their actual colleagues.
And the results? Well, they were pretty mind-blowing. When they looked at novels from huge authors like J.K. Rowling and J.D. Salinger, the pros said that the specialized AI's work was of equal quality to the published human version almost a third of the time. Think about that.
And you can see what this means in practice right here. They did another test on a Sherlock Holmes story, asking an expert how much of the AI's work needed to be fixed. For the Transformer AI, a whopping 45% of its sentences were considered perfect. No edits needed at all.
Okay, but let's be real, it's not perfect. Not yet, anyway. While the quality is seriously impressive, the AI still makes these subtle, very machine-like mistakes. You could almost call them ghosts in the translation.
One of the biggest tripwires for an AI is idiomatic expressions. You know, those phrases we use all the time where the literal words have almost nothing to do with what we actually mean. It's all about culture and context. Check out this perfect example from the study. The original says, "We stumbled after him." The AI takes that literally and says, "We bumped into him," which, completely changes the scene. It totally misses that feeling of following someone clumsily, which the human translator nails. All right, the other little ghost that shows up is ambiguity. The AI can sometimes lose track of who is doing what in a sentence, and when it does, it can drop really important little pieces of information. So look at this. The original sentence is super clear. She followed me before I could close the door. But the AI translation just kind of loses the pronouns. It says, someone followed me before someone could close the door. The basic action is there, but that clarity, that specificity is just gone.
So, look, the tech isn't flawless. We've seen that. But the progress? It's undeniable. And it opens up this totally fascinating new chapter for what these tools could mean for books and for reading.
And the researchers themselves point to some pretty amazing possibilities here. I mean, imagine bilingual ebooks that could help you learn a language. Or think about new authors being able to get their work out to an international audience fast.
Editors could get a really solid preview of a book before they commit to a full, expensive human translation. The potential is just massive.
And that brings us all the way back to where we started, but maybe with a different perspective. Maybe the question isn't if an AI can translate a novel, but how human creativity and artificial intelligence are going to write the next chapter together. So will your next favorite book be translated by an AI? The answer might be a lot closer than you think.